Thank you very much, Madam President, and good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I rise, and before I actually start speaking, I would just like to thank my colleagues for their comments here in the circle, both Senator Minor and Senator Sampson, for many of the things that we were able to learn in the short time that we've been able to spend with this document. This document, a whopping 837 pages. I mean, the weight, the sheer weight of that bill is amazing. And to think that we just got this today, this morning, and, you know, it took, probably since last Wednesday to start pulling this together to get us to where we are today. The majority does have the numbers. They do have the control of the agenda. To use like a football analogy, they're on offense. They're in the huddle, and we play defense. So we don't have the luxury of the play that's called. We see it as it comes on the field, and when you get presented with something of this magnitude, I think we need to evaluate the process and the procedure. Because I don't think this is what our constituents expect. I don't think they are looking for us to be presented with 851 pages and to be able to read them, understand them, think about it, and to evaluate what the impact of that written document is on so many different areas of life in the state of Connecticut. Mind you, it's now 8 o'clock. The session was called for 11. And in the interim, we had to deal with a bill dealing with the legalization of recreational marijuana. In itself, a 300-page bill. So you're looking at almost 1,200 pages. And to do that at a time when you're divided, not only looking and dealing with the legislation that's before us, and from my perspective, a very substantial and significant piece of legislation that's going to impact the children of our state for decades to come. And there's nothing worth fighting for more than the future of the state of Connecticut and the great children that reside here. So to have to be able to watch that legislation, deal with that legislation, advocate for those kids, at the same time we have to read a document that's 851 pages is either going to be a disservice to the future and kids of the state of Connecticut, or you're not going to have the opportunity to look at this document. In either instance, it's not the way to legislate, especially in a special session when we can call this at any time. This bill could have been prepared today, could have been presented to us today. We could have had the debate and the argument maybe Thursday, Friday, next Monday. But to rush this, I don't think is the proper process. And there, albeit, may be very good intentions in here, but it's unclear. And I know that I've had my colleagues speak about this before me, but I know there are a couple. One is the authorization for state agencies to be able to contract with other states. Now, on one hand, we might be looking at using the intellectual property of our state agencies that may do the backroom operation of state services and be able to look to offload those to other states and derive a revenue stream for our state. On the other hand, is it a backdoor towards the TCI initiative and a gas tax? I don't know. This document is unclear. There's also the use of a 1332 waiver to do Medicaid expansion for Husky A participants, albeit not saying that they are not worthy of quality, accessible, and affordable health care. But that's a discrete population. And utilizing the 1332 waiver under the Affordable Care Act, states are allowed one. And Connecticut right now sits on the, I'm going to say, the precipice of being able to utilize the American Relief Funds for the next 2 years. And if we use the W1332 waiver for a reinsurance program, we could bring premium relief to all families that are buying health insurance in the state of Connecticut, up to 30% reduction. When you look at the fact that the average amount a family in the state of Connecticut pays for their insurance for health care, it's $2,000 a month. That's almost $600 of real money in a family budget. That is a game changer. But the policy here is not to use the 1332 waiver for something that would help more people and all people. No, we're going to use it for a Medicaid expansion program. Connecticut is unaffordable right now. It's unaffordable. And adding more folks on Medicaid is going to make it more expensive for the state government to operate. I think a policy choice that utilized or included not only the Medicaid expansion, but also a reinsurance program that even the governor advanced would have been the prudent and reasonable way to go forward. Wasn't considered. Despite the fact that we had that before the insurance committee, the governor had that before the insurance committee, our bill never got out of committee. The governor's did. But then the conversation died, probably because we're using the 1332 waiver for this rather than for reinsurance. And this, Madam President, is where I think we miss the mark. So looking at this, I mean, it's an amazing document. I think if you brought this back and I walked down Main Street in Stratford and said, look, this is what the majority thought I would be able to read in a couple hours while I'm also legislating the passage of recreational marijuana, they would laugh. They would be like, no, seriously, that's what you do up there in Hartford? I'd be like, yeah, this is what they asked us to do today. And I just don't think that's the expectation of any voter. And it's certainly not, I don't think, the expectation of legislators either. And I think that that's something that needs to be considered, certainly in future years. But I think this process is a process that needs to be evaluated. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kelly.